What a week it is. Before we get started today, I feel it'd be very unsan-ho of me not to talk about the recent tragedy that happened at the VTA shipping yard. Um, I tip my cap out to all the people at VTA and let you know our thoughts and prayers are with you during this difficult time. And man, mental health is really real, y'all. And if anybody ever feels that they need to reach out, I know our DMs are open on Twitter. Our messages are open on Facebook. Please reach out if you feel like you're about to do something stupid. I'd rather you. People say I'm not the most compassionate person in the entire world, but I'd rather have somebody reach out to me than go shoot up a maintenance yard and kill 10 people. So most definitely, our hearts are broken and our prayers are with VTA. And anyway, as we get into the always awkward transition from real life into football, I'd like to remind everybody or announce that our pre-launch sale is coming July 30th through the 29th for the faithful by the faithful clothing line. You can save 20% on all our designs. Make sure that you follow Niner Faithful Radio Shop on social media to see our releases of our designs. As soon as we get them done, we're going to go ahead and start releasing them. With everything opening up and fans going back into stadiums, go to SeatGiant.com for all your theater, concert, and sporting event tickets. Make sure to use the promo code Niner Faithful Radio to go ahead and save and help out the show. That website again is SeatGiant.com, and the promo code is Niner Faithful Radio. Check out all our blogs at NinerFaithfulRadio.com. We have our wide receiver breakdown coming tomorrow. That website again is NinerFaithfulRadio.com/blogs. Get all your Niners officially licensed gear from shop49ers.com at NinerFaithfulRadio.com/shop. It doesn't cost you any more, and it helps out the show greatly. With that being said, let's go ahead and start the show. All right, everybody, we're back. We're live. What's up, Jason? How you doing, bro?
It's no day.
Living it up.
Sorry, it's hot out here, man. We're not used to this kind of weather out here.
Hey, you know what? It's actually not too bad today, but yesterday, man, I thought I was going to die. It creeped up in the hundreds, and it was definitely man, summer's here type of situation. So I thought we'd get into a little bit of Niner news that we have. It has been officially announced.
Jones.
We all knew it was. I know, right? All right, there you go. But man, I ain't gonna lie, I was kind of looking at Niners Twitter and Niners.com today, kind of saying, are we gonna have a little bit of Julio Jones news? As we all know, we're gonna go ahead and that'll be the first topic we get into today. But Ronald Blair, Super Blair, as I like to call him, officially signed with the New York Jets. A round of applause for Mr. Ronald Blair. I think it is very appropriate that your last play as a Niner was sacking Russell Wilson's person I don't really like. But you sacked him, and I ain't gonna lie, I screamed extra hard, and I was at that game. So Monday night on Veterans Day. So you know how anybody who listens to the show knows how I feel about the quarterback for the Rain City Bitch Pigeons. So definitely tip my hat to Mr. Ronald Blair. I know, right? Big shout out to Jason. Yeah, bro, we're definitely gonna make a shirt that says that on it. So even though we all know Jason has famously said it actually doesn't rain up there as much as people think it does, but
sure don't.
Well, just like I always find it funny because everybody calls Chicago the Windy City, but geographically, San Francisco is actually the windiest city in the United States. Chicago got called the Windy City because of all the politicians, and that used to be a big politic hub in the United States, and it got called the Windy City because politicians were always blowing with the wind. But geographically, San Francisco is actually the windiest city in the United States. So it's kind of funny how cities sometimes get these reputations and everything like that. But they never seem to. Yeah, nothing to do with it. But so also, Weston Richburg has officially retired, and the Niners have signed wide receiver. I know they released Josh Johnson, and they have signed wide receiver. Hold on, it's loading. It's loading.
Andy Jones.
Andy Jones. There you go. So
from the
we
Lions.
signed a receiver from the Lions. We signed a receiver named Jones. It just quite wasn't the receiver that we all had thought.
It's funny when it popped up on my phone, all I saw was 49ers sign Jones. And I was like, what? So I was like, what's going on here? Because then I was like, wait a minute. We can't technically sign Jones because, he's still under contract. So, but all we saw was 49ers, Jones. And everybody started, I'm sure most of everybody around was just all of a sudden popping up their phones looking for it real quick.
Yeah, exactly. It's look. Let's be real. Niners, whoever runs the Niners social media, they knew what they were doing when they put Niners sign Jones.
Sure,
they had to know. We also released tight end Daniel Him. Jones was originally signed as an undrafted free agent by the Dallas Cowgirls on May 6, 2016. Throughout his career, he has played in 11 games, 3 starts, and has registered 11 receptions for 80 yards, 1 touchdown with the Houston Texans in 2017 and the Detroit Lions in 2018. He also spent time with the Cowgirls and Dolphins practice squad in 2019. After being signed with the Dolphins in 2020, he was released September 5th of 2020. He is a 26-year-old native of Claremont, Florida, and attended Jacksonville University, where he appeared in 41 games with 29 starts, 144 receptions, 2,120 yards, and 17 touchdowns. I don't think this is anybody that it's not breaking news. We like to keep you updated here on Niner Faithful Radio with all Niner news, but it's probably just camp legs. I wouldn't anticipate anybody being signed this. Yeah, I don't. He's not going to push Jalen Hurd or Richie James or Mohamed Sanu for a roster spot here. But I feel if we went any longer, we would be burying the lead here. But let's get into it. Julio Jones. If it's going to happen, it's going to happen here here pretty quick. He has 3 years left on his. I would even think less than that. I know the rumors are floated around that Atlanta's been offered a first-round pick. I think that's Atlanta trying to up his price because if somebody offered Atlanta a first-round pick, Julio Jones would have traded already.
They'd have jumped already.
They would have jumped on it, and Julio would have been into whatever city that was, and it would just not have been announced until June 1st. But Julio Jones would have, as soon as the deadline would have reached for him to be able to be traded and them just save the cap space that they would save, he would have been traded right then and there. I think that's strictly trying to pump up. To get into the Niners' perspective, and we'll go ahead and get your opinion on it, Jason. I'm all for it. Obviously, I'm not saying get him by all means necessary. I know that when we had talked about it previously a little bit before, I had said that I'd be open to trading to Debo, and I don't want to. I don't want to get rid of Debo. Let's be real. I have stated that I don't think Debo is going to be signed to a second contract. Look, if Debo can stay healthy, I would love to have Debo Samuels on a second contract. But to me, it's going to come down to like it was with DeForest Buckner and Eric Armstead. You're going to have to choose between Debo and Brandon Ayuk. And I'm sorry. Right now, speaking, I understand, Debo's 2 years and Brandon Ayuk is only a year. But my money is on Brandon Ayuk. But so with Julio Jones, it's to me, I say a second and a fourth, and you make it a conditional third rounder this year. If he plays, let's just say 12, 13 games, it can be upgraded to a third rounder, or you might set some yardage type of stipulations or something like that. But I'm not, trade the farm and let's go all in and get Julio Jones. But to me, people would say, yeah, but that's the second and third or fourth round pick. And I'm like, look, I'm sorry. For the next 2 to 3 years, I don't see a second or a third round talent making a bigger impact on this team than Julio Jones. I mean, we're talking about one of the best wide receivers that Kyle Shanahan knows how to get it open. I mean, we all saw the tweet that Joe Staley put out was, hey, Kyle already knows how to get open. One of his greatest careers is one of his greatest years of his career was with Kyle Shanahan. And so to think that it's not going, I understand he's a little bit older, but to me, you just have to go for it. I mean, we're a Super Bowl or bust team. And I understand that, there might be some questions about that, whether Jimmy starts or Trey Lance starts. I mean, obviously, you don't want to hold a rookie quarterback to, winning us the Super Bowl. But, as long as Jimmy Garoppolo is the starter week 1, I believe this is a Super Bowl or bust team. And, as the Niners did in 94 with, signing Dion, I think you got to bring in Julio Jones. Jason, your thoughts?
You pretty much hit everything as far as why we want him on the team. So I'll take the other side, why we don't want him. He is older, and we have an overall younger team that we're ready to go for quite a few years. And it also says, do you want him to take the place of Debo? Because that's what's going to happen. You're going to push Debo down to 3, more likely Ayuk to 2, which to an extent I wouldn't mind seeing Debo in the slot because we could definitely, the motions that we could get out of him from there would be fine. But, excuse me. And I know one of the things people say about him is that he's injured all the time. And that is true. He's always on the injury report damn near every week, but he plays through it.
Yeah.
So, but at his age, those injuries start adding up. Maybe he misses a game here, a game there. Hey, what's up, Mr. Rich 58? Good to see you. Thanks for joining.
Hey, what's up, brother? How you doing?
That, and with his contract, I know we can play with his contract, but at some point we're just going to, we're going to have too much of one thing. I think, we've got enough young wide receivers at this point, especially if Trey starts, let them grow with that. So, like I said, I, for the most part, agree. I would love to see Julio Jones in this. I don't particularly think it's going to happen. And I mean, we've got to give them something with a player. And I know before I had honestly thought about trading Mostert for him. But now with Wilson down for quite some time, I don't see that happening. Of course, you would think you'd like to go to the Colts.
I was just about to say Average 58 with the comment. Of course, he would like to see him with the Colts. I mean, I think any fan would love to see him with their team. I mean, obviously, and
he's an upgrade over 99% of the wide receivers in this league. There's only a few that are better than him, even at his age.
Yeah, I think the only ones I would take is maybe DK, OBJ.
Adams.
Yeah, Devontae Adams. I take Devontae over him. That's probably about it. And let's put it this way: DK Metcalf ain't about to be on the Niners anytime soon.
I honestly wanted him over Northwest.
We'll get into this a little deeper and everything like that. But I wasn't opposed to him. I thought, especially with how late that he went, and everything like that, and I thought, okay, maybe not taking him as a first round pick. It was pretty obvious, who we were going to take with our first rounder. But, if he could, a scenario like with the Reuben Foster, where we traded back up into the first round to select him and everything like that, I wasn't opposed to that. And look, I'm not going to throw a hissy fit, and I'm not going to sit here and rip Kyle Shanahan and lynch a hand like I would if we would have selected Mac Jones. And everything like that, because anybody who watched our post-pick episode of Niner Paper Radio draft coverage knows that it was so funny because obviously Jason was, traded to the Bay, and I was just so happy. I mean, my first initial maybe 45 seconds was just praising Jesus that it was Mac Jones. And I think that's pretty much a lot of Niner fans' sentiments about it. So I was fully prepared to come on the show post draft, post pick, and rip Kyle Linehan a new one. My head coach tends to choke in high pressure situations. We'll get into that towards as we break it down and everything like that. But look, I'm not going to rip him a new one. I mean, if a team wants to offer a first round pick for Julio Jones, I tip my cap to y'all and say, no thanks, but no thanks, and I hang up the phone and say, hey, now let's be real. The Niners have inquired about Julio Jones. And,
just like when we had our meeting, it'd be dumb not to ask.
Oh yeah, they would not be doing their job. They would be doing a disservice to the Niners if they didn't call in and check. It's like Lynch said in his press conference. Hey, look, if the MVP of the league becomes available, I mean, you gotta ask. Hey, one day Joe Montana might get freaking traded. I mean, it's you have to ask. So I wouldn't be mad. I don't want a first round pick. There's a price. I call Atlanta. I set my price and I say, you want to do business? Let's do business. If not, no hard feelings. Talk to y'all maybe another time on when you're doing a roster dump here later after the season. So no hard feelings. Exactly. Now getting into the wide receivers, I think we'll go ahead and we'll start off with Debo. Look, the question, Debo's not going to get questioned on this roster. Debo Samuel is going to be on the final roster when we make our final roster cuts. To me, I think this is a big year for Debo. I think this is we saw flashes in the pan. His rookie year obviously came on strong, very strong in the second half once we traded for Emmanuel Sanders. And, we expected big things. And I feel that it's unfortunate because Debo's second year just could never get on track because it was very clear that the foot injury that he sustained in the summer just kind of set his year back. Because I don't think a lot of people don't understand because they look at football from, let's just say, let's be realistic, end of July until, January, February. And football is a year-round job. And so the fact that he was injured in the summer and had to spend the summer recovering instead of training, that sets him back. And then all of a sudden you get into practice and you pull a hamstring. And we all know how tricky hamstrings are. I mean, I believe it was, I want to say the second Arizona game that he literally, the first play of the game, re-aggravated his hamstring. I mean,
first and second. It was his first series for sure.
Yeah. And it was what? I mean, I believe it was not until, I want to say the Eagles game that we actually had a full week of practice with our starting offense. And so you can say, well, why did the offense start? Well, maybe because the whole team didn't practice together until freaking, what was it, October, September? I mean, that's ridiculous.
And so to me, still down people.
Yeah, we were. I mean, last year was just a fluke year and everything. And I think the sentiment we've all had is, I mean, can you knock on wood, but can you really set an NFL record for most players on IR 2 years in a row? I mean, I would like to not think. Of course, how frustrating was it? Literally, I mean, what was it? 30 minutes after we ended our running back show, all of a sudden, freaking Jeff Wilson Jr. Like, I was talking to I was talking to a friend, Antonio. Big shout out to Antonio Productions. We got some exciting things coming with them here, hopefully next week. But it was just, I was talking to him and I was like, bro, we got to be cursed. I mean, I don't know if we got to sprinkle holy water over Levi's in the training facility or what, but the man is literally chilling in the weight room. Just got finished with the workout, stands up and tears his MCL. I mean, Lord Jesus, I don't know what to do.
Bad is it you just stand up? I'm like, look, man, I know I'm getting old and I'm fat and knees hurt, but I haven't actually torn anything getting up anytime, man. And this man is done for, jeez, it's horrible.
And let's be real, it's I think that's one of the toughest things about football because you hear these great stories of an undrafted free agent from North Texas, and he makes it. And we all remember the Arizona game in 2019 and came in for one play, and it was the game-winning play. And we saw him. I mean, he dominated against New England last year. And freaking goes in a high ankle sprain, and you knew right away. I mean, he was just sitting there pounding the ground because you could tell his frustration of you finally get your shot, and you're gonna shine, and you're doing great, and then boom, this happens. Now the Niners bring him back. Niners bring him back on a 1-year prove-it deal, and you bring it back on a 1-year prove-it deal, and you're fired up because you're going to be able to get your opportunity this year, and even if it next year, even if it's with if it's not with the Niners, you're going to get a opportunity from some team, and then you go and just literally, just all you do is simply this. That's all you did, and you freaking tear your meniscus. I mean, obviously, I think that has to be a little bit of a pre-existing condition. I'm sorry that there had to be a little something there, but even that, I mean, that's one of the most horrible things about football because sometimes your career ends. I mean, look at Trent Taylor. It was nothing wrong with Trent Taylor, nothing wrong with his work ethic, nothing wrong with his talent, but just injuries, and injuries derailed a very promising career. I mean, I thought we were all thinking Julian Edelman, Wes Welker, put 2.0 when towards the end of 2017. I mean, he was Jimmy's security blanket. The flu game in Chicago, Niner version. I mean, that will go down in Niner lore. I mean, maybe not as some big as other games that we'll get into, but I mean, I would like to think people are going to talk about Trent Taylor for a little bit, and I mean, what he went through playing in that flu game in Chicago. I mean, it just sucks here. But to go ahead and get back on Debo, I'll wrap it up and let you get your thoughts here, Jason. But I'm expecting a big year from Debo. Hopefully, he'll actually get to be able to do wide receiver things this year and won't be used so much as a running back. I mean, we talk about his injuries and all that. I mean, I think that's just the style of play, but also let's give him a little bit credit. I mean, running backs get hurt. And for a lot of his career, that's essentially what he's been. He's been a running back that lines up on the outside every now and then to basically pretty much go in motion. Jason, your thoughts on Debo?
I'll go a little bit different with mine because I actually want him to do those running back type things. That's what he excels at. As good of a wide receiver as he can be at times, especially when he catches those 3 or 4 yard slants and then takes them for 10, 15 yards. He excels at doing those running back type plays. Those end arounds, any kind of run that he does, that's what he does best. That's we have Ayuk to be, your prototypical number one best wide receiver on the game or, best wide receiver on the team. We have him to do those type of things. You want Debo to do all those trick plays, motion plays, this and that, because that keeps the defense off balance. And that's, like I said, so I don't really want him to mostly play wide receiver and just do wide receiver things. I want him running all over the field, doing all those crazy things. But, like I said, we'll see.
Well, yeah.
He does have a little bit of an injury bug. I remember seeing reports his rookie year that came out of South Carolina saying that his coaches had to jump on him quite a bit because he came into camp, overweight and stuff like that. But I haven't really seen it. And if you follow him on his Instagram or, anything like that, he is out there busting his butt this year. So, the most we can hope is that he comes back and he's ready to go and we don't have any more of these issues with him and, injury bug that he's been labeled with by some people.
Yeah, no, it was in 2019. He came out of camp a little bit out of shape. I remember when I was going to open training camp practices, you would see him after practice or before practice doing some running with Wes Welker to, whip him back into shape. And there was, a couple 5 o'clock morning runs. And I think that kind of woke Debo up. And I think sometimes what doesn't get talked about a lot when you have rookie players, I mean, to think that I haven't matured from, let's just say, 22 till, here, sit in front of you at 35 years old? No, of course I have. And I think that what happens is, if you're a first round or even a second round pick, you're coming in with the mentality of you're the man. I mean, let's be real. There hasn't been too many football teams that Debo has been on in his life, probably, that he wasn't the man. And I think a lot of times when you get young players, like let's just take Nick Bosa, for example, or even a Javon Kinlaw. Javon Kinlaw is a perfect example that, most of his life he's been bigger, stronger, and faster than everybody. So he hasn't had to be a technician. He's just, I'm bigger, I'm stronger, and I'm faster than you, so I'm going to manhandle you. And then, when you get into the NFL and you realize, hey, guess what? Everybody in the NFL was the biggest. Yeah, everybody was the biggest, strongest, and fastest on their team. You do need to be a technician. You do need to put in the work in the weight room and the work in the offseason, which, if you've seen the Niners reported OTAs camp, I mean, man, if this was a bodybuilding contest or intimidation contest, Javon Kinlaw would be the first one off the bus.
Beastly right now.
He looks beastie. I mean, look, it must be eating them squirrels live on Instagram. Hey, whatever you're doing, bro.
I hope he's getting some of
whatever you. Oh man, hey, that's one country ass dude. I'll just put it to you that way. That's
he is about as country as you can get.
as the whole side of my dad's family is all from the South, mostly Alabama. And so, I got some country people in my family, and that boy is country. Let me tell you that. But hey, keep doing your country thing, and keep on eating them squirrels, and let's go get 10 sacks this year, huh? But yeah, I mean, I agree with you, and let's be real. How about we give Debo a little bit of credit? How about we give him a little bit of chance to mature? And as much as we give credit for what Richard Sherman did to the defensive back room, here with the Niners and everything like that, and Quan Alexander did with, changing Fred Warner, and let's be real, bringing Dre Greenlaw along, I think Emmanuel Sanders needs to have a huge amount of credit for what he did and I think it whooped Debo into shape. And I remember that, there was Emmanuel Sanders on an interview talked about going to Debo and Kendrick Bourne, a lot of the young receivers, and showing them, hey, guess what? If you want to last in this league, this is how you got to get down.
You got to do.
And so, having Emmanuel Sanders, who, let's be real, he's not a Hall of Famer or anything like that, but Emmanuel Sanders is a damn good receiver. I would take him on the Niners right now. I would definitely was on the sign Emmanuel Sanders back camp. He had a huge impact on Debo. Kendrick Bourne swears by him. And so, let's give Debo a little bit of credit. So, but let's be real. Debo's not in any danger. I mean, it would have to take a Dante Pettis downfall times 5 for Debo not to make this roster. I mean, he would have to make, Dante Pettis look like Jerry, make Dante Pettis look like Jerry Rice for him to be able to not make this team. I mean,
I think the only way he's not on the I think the only way he doesn't make it is if he's some sort of a package deal for Julio Jones. That's the only way I see him not making the team. I mean, it's just and he's not gonna, minus a crazy injury or anything like that, he's gonna play. We all know that already.
Yeah. Knock on wood. Exactly. Now, going on to who I think is going to be the best Niner receiver since, Anquan Bolden, since T.O., since even a lightweight Michael Crabtree circa 2012. I don't really think Crabtree was that great of a receiver, but he was pretty good in 2012. Brandon Ayuk.
I thought we were talking about Jalen Hurd.
No, Jalen Hurd. Yeah, the greatest receiver ever to play 2 snaps in a preseason game. Of course, we'll get into Jalen Hurd next. But, I mean, Brandon Ayuk, what could you say? I mean, the man was a beast. I mean, when you can almost beat Jerry Rice's receiving, rookie receiving yard record in 12 games, that tells you something.
To you.
Yeah, with Nick Mullins and CJ Beathard throwing to you. I mean, it was, man. I mean, could you only imagine what he could do with Trey Lance. If you can, there was even, let's be real, even with Jimmy last year, you could tell that Jimmy
good.
Jimmy couldn't use him the way that he needs to be used. And Brandon Ayuk, I'm expecting a huge jump from Brandon Ayuk this year. I mean, it would not surprise me if he's an All Pro. And I know that's lofty expectations to put on a second year receiver who, if you add Kyle Shanahan, I mean, he disappointed last year. I mean, freaking Kyle Shanahan with his expectations of receivers is insane. I remember it was one game he tied Jerry Rice's record for rookie receptions in a game with 10. He had like 97 yards or something like that, and Kyle Shanahan said, yeah, I think he took a step back. And it's like, what are you smoking? He just tied Jerry Rice's rookie reception record in a game, and you think he took a step back?
You can always improve.
Yeah, of course you can always improve. And look, I like that out of my head coach. I like the head coach not letting players get satisfied. I mean, that's very Bill Walsh. Bill Walsh was famous for look, I mean, Bill Walsh was never satisfied with Joe Montana. And I mean, the greatest quarterback to ever lace him up. And Bill was always looking to sneak ways to get Steven. I mean, we traded, for freaking Steve Young, which I understand that Steve Young was thought of to be a bust when we traded for him, but still, we traded for somebody we thought was a starting caliber quarterback. Why Joe Montana was not even in the league for 10 years. Now, mind you, he had his injuries and everything like that, but still, not being satisfied with your players is very Bill Walsh, and I love it. It keeps players humble, keeps them motivated. I know that Brandon Ayuk is working with Jerry, and so I love his mentality. I mean, I don't understand why players don't work with Jerry every offseason. You literally have the greatest football player ever to play in the building all the time. I mean, if I was Brandon Ayuk, I would make Jerry Rice see me and walk the other way just because of how much I bugged him. If I was these Niner receivers, I would be tailing Jerry. I mean, to me, I always judge receivers with, and I know that a lot of people and a lot of coaches won't want this, but Jerry used to have a famous saying that said, every time these hands touch a football, these feet touch the end zone. And that's why he ran every route. Every ball he caught in practice, he ran it to the end zone. And that man scored more touchdowns than anybody in NFL history. And I would think that the fact that he ran every ball into the end zone in practice had a little bit to do with that. So Brandon Ayuk does seem that type of player. Excuse me. Brandon Ayuk does seem that type of player. And so him again, he's making the roster. I'm not even going to put that at 99%. I'm going to put it at 100%. That Brandon Ayuk is making the roster. Jason, your thoughts on BA, or as we like to call him, Jumpman?
I took some shit for saying this on a different platform that I don't want to call him the number one yet, simply because we haven't gotten a full season out of him. Now, a lot of that's not his fault. He did get injured, and he was playing with Nick Mullins and CJ Beathard. But similar to what we were talking about, like with Jerry, I want him to go out there and earn that number one spot. Like, I don't think Debo is going to be the number one, just because of his style of play is different than your prototypical number one. Ayuk is going to be a person who you want to be the number one receiver on this team. So I'm not ready to call him the number one yet, but he definitely has the ability to do so. And like you said, with all the records he set, he had 785 yards and this and that. He was 12 games. He didn't. He had a horrible line, no running game at times, no quarterback practically. Imagine what he's going to do. Like I said, I know a lot of people are going back and forth on who's it going to be a quarterback. Jimmy or Trey is going to be an upgrade over who he had throwing him the ball last year. So, he's going to be the number one. He's going to be the best receiver on the team long term. So, like I said, he's going to be there definitely without a doubt. The only issue that I would see with him as far as getting more yards and touchdowns is how much we run the ball. I see him getting thrown at between 5 to 8 times on the regular per game. And it's probably going to go up depending or down, even depending on the situation. So, but definitely a more productive year out of him overall.
Yeah, he had 748 last year with 60 receptions and 5 TDs.
Yeah,
So I mean,
not
I
bad.
would say the reception not bad at all. I'd say the receptions are going to go up. I would figure I could see a 15 more receptions. So that's 75 receptions. Let me ask
Three,
you
four more
this:
touchdowns.
because this all of this receiver talk needs to be preferenced by saying that George Kittle is the number one target on this team.
Oh yeah,
I mean, I think that's no question. George Kittle is receiver number one, but to me, do you think he gets over 1,000? Do you think he gets 1,000 this year and becomes our first receiver to get 1,000 since Anquan
it's hard
Bolden?
to say because I think if we're like with the postseason in 2020, if we're just running the ball down throat, everybody's throat and getting 4 or 5 yards
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
a carry, why are we throwing it?
Yeah,
But if we
yeah.
have like the Saints games where we got to come back or we're in a shootout, then this goes up. So it all depends on the tempo. He has the ability, and if we're going to open up the ball, open up the game, open up the offense more, you know, it's there. I think he has the ability to do so.
I would say he probably look if we trade for. I'll preface this: if we get Julio Jones, he's not coming close to 1,000 yards.
No,
Um,
it's going to get split up.
there's just not enough football. There's just not enough footballs unless he
Yeah.
has like 4 or 5 90 yard or 75 yard plus. Hold on, we got a question right here. Do you see Jimmy being your quarterback when the season starts? I personally do. We'll get
Yes.
into that more when we get into quarterbacks, but I see him. I see the earliest Trey Lance starting is coming off the bye. Actually, I see probably the first week that we see him starting is against y'all, week 7.
Against the
That would
Colts.
be against the Colts. Hey Trey, welcome to your first game. Here comes DeForest Buckner, which by the way, I hate y'all for getting DeForest Buckner from us.
And Defoe's
Texas.
coming with a lot of energy for that game. He's back in Frisco for the
Oh,
first
oh,
time. He's coming pumped.
oh yeah.
Easy victory, yeah.
Easy victory. Okay, calm down here, Junior. Yeah, no, it's look, we robbed you guys definitely. I mean, let's be real. I'll tell you this: the force, but you got yourself. I mean, I don't want to say Hall of Famer quite yet, but you got yourself a perennial Pro Bowl All Pro player. I mean, you got somebody that was. Let's be real. He was supposed to be a Bryant Young type of Niner. I'm not saying team leader in sacks or anything like BY, but he was going to be that Niner that you saw carried off the field. I mean,
Yeah.
it shocked the Empire when he was traded. It sent shivers through the Empire because nobody saw it coming. We'll go ahead and we can't wait to get you on the review show this year and everything like that. We're going to be having some fun before week 7, most definitely. But I think that it goes without saying that I don't see him breaking 1,000 yards. I think that it's going to be close.
Close.
I can definitely see him getting 900 plus, but I think that he'll go a little under 1,000 yards. But go on to from Brandon Ayuk. We're going to go ahead and get into the man, the myth, the legend. That is Mr. Jalen Hurd. Man, I've never seen so much hype around a player that has never really seen the football field in a real game. But
Mr. All-Star preseason.
Mr. All-Star. Hey, look, if preseason snaps, counted for whole careers, he'd be a freaking Hall of Famer. But
Hall of Fame preseason.
But oh yeah, Hall of Fame preseasoner. I mean,
the Hall of preseasoner.
let's be real. I'm cautiously optimistic. I mean, let's get them through a practice, then 2, then 3, then a training camp, then a preseason before I start the Jalen Hurd hype train. He looked really good last offseason. Then what was it? I believe it was the first practice in camp. Yeah, the first practice before camp is when he tore his ACL. So how about we get him through a training camp and a preseason before we start the hype train? Do I see him making the roster? this is where my first question mark comes in
Oh
of
no.
this breakdown so far. Because healthy, look, Jalen Hurd makes it through training camp healthy and looks good, and doesn't look like he's lost a step and all that type of things. Oh yeah, I mean he's our starting slot. He's going to be
Yeah.
a beast. But would I put my money on it? No, I wouldn't. I'm sorry. I'm a firm believer. I'm a firm believer that back injuries don't get the ACL is not what's concerning me.
Yeah.
Players have come back from ACLs plenty of times. That's not what's concerning me. What's concerning me is
At
that
the
back,
back. Yeah.
and because
One good hit
backs
in the
tend not
back
to
and
get
it's
down.
gone.
And he's young, so he can recover it, and I will think it will affect him later on in his career. But like you said, one hit in the back, and I mean it could be done. And
Yep.
as somebody who's dealt with plenty of friends and family members that have had bad backs, backs don't get better; they only get worse.
Yep.
And so I'm cautiously optimistic. I would make his chances of making out of the preseason right now. I would say 55-45, maybe 60-40 that he makes it, just because I think that 2 years off the back should be all right. And it's been around pretty close to a year that he's been, recovered from the ACL. I would like to think he makes it. Jason, your thoughts?
Um, I know when we'd gone over the draft picks and this and that, we were a lot of people were actually surprised that we didn't draft a wide receiver in this draft when it was a relatively deep draft for wide receivers, especially in the later rounds. You have some guys who are going to be around, maybe not necessarily stars, but you're going to have some guys that's going to be in the league in the 5, 6, 8 years kind of thing. But I think one of the reasons why we did not draft a wide receiver is because I think they have faith with what's going on with Jalen Hurd and his recovery, that he's finally
Yeah.
going to be healthy and ready to go this year. So that means I don't see any other reason why we didn't draft anybody unless, like I said, they have that much faith that he's finally ready to go overall.
Or trade for Julio.
Yeah.
Sorry. Excuse me. I had to
But
sneeze
no
right
one's
there.
trading for him. But I'm saying, like I said, that's it. Like we said, the measurables, he's 6'4", 225. He's a beast. He's everything you want. He's Kendrick Bourne, but faster.
Yeah.
Bigger and faster.
When we were allowed to go to training camp in 2019 and they had the rookies, do their little rookie thing before training camp and come in the crowd and give everybody high fives. I mean, he gave me a high five, and even just a simple, just a, casual slap, I was like, hot damn, that
Yeah,
boy
he's
is
got
strong.
huge
I mean,
hands.
I
He's got
felt it
long arms.
just
Yeah.
just from giving a little casual what's up handshake and everything like that, not even putting some umph behind it. I mean, I felt it and I was like, hot damn, we need to get him on he's gonna be a beast. And so he's
And he's still
big,
new at wide
strong,
receiver.
fast. Yeah, he is. He is. And so I think that's also what worries me a little bit about Jalen Hurd is that what he's missed besides, playing time is that development as a receiver.
Yeah.
I mean, he really pretty much majority of his time has been spent recovering from injury and not developing receivers. So I'd even like to think, how much has he developed as a receiver? How much has he
He's got to have
developed
the
his
mental
route
aspect
running?
down.
He's gonna. I mean, if he doesn't have the mental aspect down, I mean, I'm quite concerned. And
He
let's
better be
not
able to
act
read the
like
same
Jalen Hurd.
defense as a quarterback at this point because he has played quarterback before. So he better be on the same page with both Trey and Jimmy. When he looks at the defense, they
Yeah,
all need to be looking at the same thing.
exactly. And I mean, it's if and let's not act like Jalen Hurd was a seventh round flyer that we took on a chance of some freak
Third.
athlete. It's a third round pick.
Yeah.
And let me preface this by I know that we have some people that are tuning in that aren't quite not the best knowledge of football. The third round is where we selected Joe Montana, Frank Gore, and Fred Warner. So I mean that should tell you about the caliber of players that could come out of the third round. I mean, I'm not saying that Jalen Hurd is going to be Joe Montana, Frank Gore, or even Fred Warner, but that's the type of you're expecting a starter in the third round. You're expecting
Yeah.
a solid, maybe makes a Pro Bowl, as the highest point of his career type of starter. You're not expecting, the greatest running back and the greatest, quarterback. I mean, yeah, everybody wants to talk about how Tom Brady was a 6th-round pick. I mean, I think let's put it, Tom Brady is the biggest outlier in NFL history. You're never going to have a 6th-round pick in sports. Exactly. You're never going to have a 6th-round pick that has the career of Tom Brady ever again in sports. I mean, that's
just
lucky
you got a first-round pick to come even close to that.
You feel me? Let's be real. If Trey Lance has 25% of the career that Tom Brady has, I'm running into the store and buying a freaking Trey Lance jersey right now because I'm not willy-nilly go buy every jersey. Yeah. Hey, I mean, I would take a 6-3, 6-4 record in the Super Bowl right now. Yes, please. I would definitely take that right now. Because let's be real, I don't think anybody's ever going to go 4-0 again. There's just too much parity in the league. I think Joe is just that special. Joe Magic. Quick shout out to our future show here. I will be going over the '89 Super Bowl in our first episode of Red and Gold Rewind this Sunday at 3 p.m. here on the West Coast. Make sure you tune in exclusively here at Twitch. But yeah, I think cautiously optimistic. Jason, your chances he makes the roster?
As long as he's not injured, he makes the roster. We've put, like you said, with a 3rd-round draft or capital that they spent on him, unless not even if he just underperforms, like Juwan Jennings or somebody that like Benny Fowler or Andy Jones that we just signed. Unless one of those guys just completely show up and Hurd just can't do it for whatever, it's just too much time off for him, not even body wise. It's just that he just can't get it. It's the only way he doesn't get on the team, I think.
Yeah, most definitely. Okay, so to go over the last couple, Richie James. To me, I want to have big expectations for Richie James, and I know a lot of people point at that Whackers game last year, and I think that was a little let's be real. How much were the Whackers preparing for Richie James? They were preparing for Brandon Ayuk. They were playing for they weren't preparing for Richie James. So I think that has a little bit to do with it, but the talent is definitely there. And I think this is the year I go to Richie James and I'm like, hey, prove it. If you're going to be a receiver and not just, somebody who makes it as a kick punt returner, and you're going to make an impact of this as a receiver, this is the year you got to do it, brother. Because I don't see it happening any other time after this. This is my, Brian Peacock from Lockdown 49ers is Richie James' biggest fan, and he admits that it's a put up or shut up time for Richie James, and I have big expectations for him, and he's going to be one of my players I really am excited to see in training camp and the preseason. Last little rundowns of the receivers. Austin Watkins Jr. I had high expectations on him. Or real quick, Jason, your thoughts on Richie James?
I think he's locked in right now to be the number 3. I expect him to actually, at least through training camp in the first part of the year, to be the number 3 to start off with. Like you said, he needs to focus. This is his make it year, and pretty much we all know the kicking duties are going to be taken away from him. So that gives him time to just solely be a wide receiver now. And he needs to take advantage of this and come through. I'm not going to say that the Packers game was a fluke per se, but I also think that shows you what he can do given the opportunity. If you want the chance, he showed during that game what he could possibly do. Maybe not every game, but, this is what my talent level is. And so it's I think right now, if you put everybody in the field, he slots as the starter or at number 3 instantly. And I think, between Watkins, Hurd, Jennings, those guys, I think those guys have to take it from him. But like I said, it's his right now. He's just got to keep it and prove that it's his to keep.
Exactly. I fully agree with you. Speaking of Juwan Jennings, the last little wrap up of the receivers: Kevin White, Austin Watkins Jr., Mohamed Sanu, Juwan Jennings, Benny Fowler, River Craycraft, Travis Benjamin, and I pretty much see those. Those are the bottom. I mean, Trent Field, I can see making it for strictly special teams. I believe Juwan. It's between Jalen Hurd and Juwan Jennings. I see them pretty much as one of the same. Obviously, Jalen Hurd, the higher pick, the more talent, the faster, stronger. But I was high on Juwan.
Balling in camp. Everybody's talking about how good he's come back looking. After that last time, but
Juwan Jennings is somebody that when we drafted him, I mean, I say high expectations as how high can your expectations be as a 7th round pick, but him it's his mentality. It's his mentality, and to me the biggest. I mean, let's be real. Anybody on an NFL roster for the most part has talent. For the most part, has the talent to make it in the NFL. The reason why you see Aldon Smith, which Torrey Smith had given a interview one time, and he said they asked who was the best player that you ever played with, and he said I only got to see him a couple weeks in camp, but Aldon Smith was one of, and you always hear that players who played with Aldon Smith are like, dude, this is one of the most freakishly talented players that I've ever seen, and I think that Aldon Smith was on a Hall of Fame trajectory. All the talent in the world. I mean, people were comparing him to Charles Haley, and that's saying something when you're comparing somebody to number 94.
He was good.
So good. So good. And, I mean, to think he came up the same class with Jaron Von Miller and J.J. Watt. And I think that if he stays on the field and kept his nose clean, I think he very might well been the best player in that draft.
Oh, between that core, at that pace, he would still be number one.
But the mentality is what stopped him. And then you have players like Frank Gore, torn knees, had every shoulder issues, had every reason not to make it in the NFL. Beat up, all that. And a lot of people say, look, Frank was the least out of Willis McGahee, Clinton Portis. I believe I'm probably missing one other running back that came out of that Miami, that time period of Miami football. He was the least talented, of the running backs. But why did Frank Gore is the best running back in team history and one of the best running backs? I'm not going to put him on the level of sweetness and Emmitt Smith, but Frank Gore. Look, I believe that he's a top 10 running back.
Oh, he's a top 10.
What was it? His mentality and his heart. You can never question Frank Gore's mentality, and you can never question his heart. And that's why I'm big on Juwan Jennings. I am. You go back to 2019 and my rookie to watch, and I was all Dre Greenlaw. Hey, something about this Dre Greenlaw. Lo and behold, I don't think he's as good as us faithful like to make him seem. But hey, look, where would we be in 2019 without Dre Greenlaw? Because I'm not even talking about the clinch of the inch. I'm talking about the pick week 9 against that team up in the Pacific Northwest. When Dre Greenlaw made that pick, I was like, ball game. That's ball game. 9-0. Here we go. And I think that play is so underlooked. Many plays in that game, but that particular play from Dre Greenlaw is so underlooked because we ended up losing that game. But that could have very well been one of the biggest plays in that season and everything as well. So Juwan Jennings, I'm high on him. I can't wait. I'm fired up to go see him and Thomas and Lenore go battle it out at training camp this year. Hopefully they'll allow us people who aren't vaccinated to get tested and go ahead and go it out. Everybody else I'm kind of just strictly seeing as camp bodies. Any last thoughts here on the receivers, Jason?
It's hard to say because most of these guys, like you said, are mostly going to end up on special teams practice squad. Austin Watkins should be interesting. Again, he's another of those Juwan Jennings, Jalen Hurd with his size and everything like that. He's there with Sanu. I almost want to keep Sanu in some sort of way to keep that same sort of veteran presence on the team that Emmanuel Sanders had. Because most of these guys are still relatively young. You still want that one older guy to be like, hey, this is how you act as a pro. Like you were talking about earlier with just because you're bigger, faster, and stronger, this is the NFL.
Yeah.
There is a specific way. Yeah. There's a certain way to act like a pro, and there's really nobody on the receiving corps besides Sanu who's had that time. I mean, what? Richie James is what, 3 years? I don't think he makes a team.
4 years.
I honestly don't. I didn't think he was that much of a pickup to begin with. And then, so I don't think him. You put Benny Fowler in that position? No, because he's got some years in, but he hasn't done a whole lot. So, like I said, I still want to see Sanu maybe as the fourth at this point, just to keep
Travis
him around. I'm sorry.
Travis Benjamin has 9 years.
Is he 9? I didn't think it was that much. Honestly, I thought he was at like 6 or 5. Honestly,
I guess 8 since he opted out last year. But yeah, I mean, I get your point. I would agree to you. I think if Travis Benjamin makes the roster, Richie James doesn't. I could see Richie James's competition is Travis Benjamin. Mohamed Sanu, I believe he's somebody that could be cut and we could pick up later, in the year, be it an injury or anything like that. I'm not really super, worried about receiver 5 or 6. I mean, pretty much I'm looking at our 4 as Brandon Ayuk, Debo, Richie James, and Jalen Hurd. If I had to put it, Jalen Hurd / Jawan Jennings. That's how I would put as our 4 that you're going to say. Because, I mean, have we even – I would say that the percentage that we've even been in 5 receiver sets, if at all, while Kyle Shanahan's been on the team, has been slim to none. Often. I think the most we've had is probably 4. And then the 5th and 6th are kind of – usually we suit up 5 and keep 6. So, All right, y'all. Well, we'd like to appreciate everybody for tuning in today's show. But before we get out of here, Jason, tell the people how they can subscribe to us on Twitch.
Just like, you can actually pay for it. But why do that? Because, there's a subscribe button. You can pay for it. But if you have Amazon Prime, part of your Prime is your benefits is you can use your Amazon Prime gaming. You connect your Twitch account to your Amazon, and you get a free sub. It's just the same as your paid sub. So don't pay for it unless you really want to. But why if you got Amazon Prime?
Yeah, right. So make sure you go ahead and do all that. It really helps out the show. We would like to thank Twitch for allowing us to join the Sports Accelerator program. We're trying to tell them, hey, you should guys keep us longer and everything like that. So go ahead and subscribe. We all work very, very hard. I mean, you won't even know how many all-nighters I've pulled. I mean, I've stayed up, 36 hours multiple times this last week and everything like that. So please, if you have the ability to, go ahead and subscribe, especially if it's especially if you're Amazon Prime. Thank you, Rich. Really appreciate it, brother. Let us know next time we go live, and we'll try to catch you. So also,
I'll let you know because I'm subbed.
Sure. There you go. Make sure you follow us, Niner Faithful Radio, on social media. Jason does a great job. You can find us on Facebook and Instagram at Niner Faithful Radio, and you can find us on Twitter at NinerFaithfulR. Make sure to go to NinerFaithfulRadio.com/shop to get all your officially licensed Niner affiliate products. Just click on the link, and everything you buy on the website, we get credit for. We make a small commission, and it doesn't cost you any more. I think, also, if you're listening to us as a podcast, make sure you rate, review, and subscribe. If you're listening to us on YouTube, make sure you subscribe and hit that bell notification. Go to NinerFaithfulRadio.com, and you view all our blogs from all our great writers, past shows, and our interviews with Roger Craig and Ian Williams. Mind you, they are a couple years old, but still, it's Ian Williams and Roger Craig. Why wouldn't you want to listen to an interview with them? It's actually the Roger Craig one. The Roger Craig one, I'm not going to give away too much, but because I might be using it on a certain show this week. but he actually gives his favorite Niner moment and everything. That's pretty dope when you hear it described from a player that's on a team. That's what we in the industry like to call a tease. So we'd like to thank everybody for joining us on today's stream. Make sure you check out Mr. Nice Guy, Primetime with Mr. Nice Guy here at Twitch tomorrow at 8 p.m. here on the West Coast. Dylan does a great job. You can also check out Good Morning Niner Empire at 9 a.m. on Fridays, and Red and Gold Rewind with your boy, yours truly, on Sunday at 3 p.m. here on the West Coast. And then Monday, we're going to give our first episode, Faithful Talk, where we give every faithful a voice on the show at 3 p.m. on the West Coast. See y'all then. For Super Duper Moderator Kim, Jamie, Jason, Nate, Jimmy, and Dylan, we'd like to thank everybody for tuning in today's show. Faith, love, and happiness.
Hey, before we go
Niners.
Everybody stick around. Yes. We got to run commercials now at the end of this part of it. So
yes.
We're going to run this, and then the stream will go off afterwards. We're still trying to figure out how to incorporate this. So
we got to figure all that out.
Yeah, so we're still working on it, but so once the commercials are over with, we'll end the stream. Thanks for being everybody. See you right next week.
Yep.
Deuces.
All right. Good looking on saving my ass on that one, bro. Yep. I'll have to write that in. I'll have to write that into the show. Shit.
Nope.
We good? All right. Thanks, y'all, for tuning in. Go Niners. All right.